Welcome back to PH.d TV, and today we'll be going over the best exercises you can do for legs at the gym. And as I start all these videos, you gotta understand that with any exercise and with any body group, each body group is not made up of one gigantic muscle. So when it comes down to the legs, you will have your quads, you will have your hamstrings, you'll have your hip flexors, abductors, adductors, as well as your calves, if we're just gonna keep it simple. And with that, each and every single one of these exercises I will be mentioning today, they will encourage these muscles to work jointly and individually. And with that being said, let's get started. The first and only first option in any legs video, unless it's a specialty video because you can't do this exercise due to a bodily injury of some sort, that is going to be squats. Leg day is never going to be complete without squats. You know this, everyone knows it. In this, you are basically going to be working every single part of your leg, every single part of your muscle groups. It's a very powerful overall exercise and one that completely gets the blood flowing in your legs completely. It just busts out your quads. It really just pushes out those hamstrings. It really puts stress on your adductors and abductors. And as well, you just really get a good calf work out of it because, you know, your calves are attached to your feet and you gotta stand on them. Whereas with some of these exercises, you're not even standing. So therefore, you're getting a great workout from the waist below, hands down. And you even know how to do it. Everyone knows how to do a good old squat. You put the bar on your back, and even you can do a dumbbell variation where you hold the dumbbell and you put your feet right outside or right at shoulder width, and you basically do the whole to the grass concept. You go as low as you can and you come up fully focusing on the contraction as well as the muscle building aspect of the exercise. And the next exercise is going to be deadlifts. And yes, I did say deadlifts in my back exercise list, which I will put it up here if anyone's curious. But you know what? It works great for both. It really pushes those hamstrings as well. And you know, and if you're into weights already, you already know how good deadlifts are for legs anyway. Because in squats, you will really push your quads, whereas the deadlift will put most of that pressure and that push on your hamstrings. Technically pull, not push, but you get what I'm saying. Deadlifts are the greatest go-to for working the hamstrings when it comes down to not specifically isolating that muscle group and working them individually. It is a great exercise in general for your legs, primarily focusing on the hamstrings, which I do believe we should all focus on, not just our quads. But yeah, quads are cool, but hamstrings are just important. But going back to quads, number 3 will be leg extensions. So a seated leg extension is basically when you sit down, you put your foot in your legs in certain holds of a machine and you extend your leg, really focusing on the stretch, the contraction, and the forming of your quadricep. So with that being said, leg extensions, I feel, even though yes, they potentially can put a lot of stress on your knees, but they're not meant to go heavy to begin with. If you want to go heavy, go back to squats or deadlifts. That's where you'll get a lot of your muscle testosterone boost from to begin with. But if you go towards the leg extension, that is when you go light, you go for distance and endurance training to a degree. If you want to do your best to avoid injury, you can go heavy if you want. I'm not stopping you, I do not suggest it, but I do see this to be a very good endurance training exercise because with you isolating that muscle and putting that much stress on your kneecaps, this is a great time to really focus on the building, the definition, and the real aesthetic of your quads versus just developing overall strength and really just going heavy and potentially causing injury. So I do believe that the leg extension is very important to the process of building your legs, especially your quadricep. And using the same coin but going to the other side of it is the leg curl, which is the same concept of the leg extension. You can sit down or you can lie down on your stomach with this one and you basically do what the leg extension does, except this time you curl it with your leg and it's focusing on the hamstring. And as I said, similar to the leg extension, this is once again a more endurance focused training segment. I would not suggest going super heavy unless you want to. Again, I cannot stop you, but I do suggest that this is an endurance inspired exercise where you focus on the overall strength, the overall endurance, hence endurance exercise, endurance training, you get the gist. You want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, but you're also developing that good quality muscles, that each muscle fiber is being broken down, because I ensure that the one muscle fiber that involves a lot of the mass and the overall strength will be just fine after you do squats and deadlifts, but I guarantee that the other muscle fiber that does take care of the endurance and more aesthetic of a muscle will be taken care of if you go light on these set exercises such as the leg curl and leg extension. Regardless, leg curls are just as important as leg extensions, except of course leg curls are for your hamstrings. Moving on, we're gonna go to the leg press. and I'm not gonna be one of those people who tells you that this is a great substitute for squats. To me, this is the lat pull downs of pull-ups. Pull-ups you gotta do. They are one of the best exercises you can do for your back. Just like squats, it is the best exercise you can do for your legs. But going to lat pull downs, which obviously for a machine mimics a general pull-up, and a leg press that generally mimics a squat, but sitting down, these are not substitutes. They are good for practicing the strength, because you can go heavy, but they are good for practicing how to go heavier to build an endurance and to build an overall aesthetic. So if you want to gain weight in terms of how much you can put on a bar, this is a great place to start, because you are not going to be under a bar that will completely crush you if you go too heavy, which will cause serious injury, which you still can cause injury with a leg press. But the concept standing is that this is a great exercise to practice going heavier when you may not be strong enough to go heavier in general with a bar quite yet. And the general concept is that you basically get in a chair, whether it be horizontal or inverted, and you basically put weight where your feet go, and you push it from a seated position. You can do these single-legged, you can do these with both legs, you can get fancy with it. I just don't suggest that you get crazy with it to the point that you're trying to use your ego more than a realistic foundation of where you're at physically. But regardless, I think leg press is an important fundamental exercise you must do in order to potentially help boost your strength gains and muscle gains in a squat and in general leg exercises. And lastly, we're gonna go with calf raises. Calf raises, you cannot forget calves. I can't tell you how many people I've seen just absolutely squatting with weight on their back, looking jacked, looking like they're about to just bust with testosterone, and they got this big vein that just pops in their forehead. And then you look at their lower leg and their calves are teeny. It's really kind of embarrassing to a certain degree. But sometimes you just can't get over the fact that you know that they're not training calves. So I suggest going to a calf machine, a seated calf raise, or a standing calf machine, or by all means get a dumbbell, go to the edge of a stair, and just raise your calves. It's not that hard. Calves grow pretty easy, at least in my experience, in comparison to the rest of the leg. So in my opinion, just hit calves once a training session. You don't have to do them crazy. Just work them enough to where they will keep up with the rest of your legs so that you don't look like you got chopsticks for legs, or those chicken leg bones that you see on chickens where it's this big but the bone's like that at the bottom. Not look good. Do calves with calf raises. End of story. And that's my list. Just kidding. I got some honorable mentions, and I'm not really gonna go over them, but I will put some pictures up so you get the gist, and we all know what they are if you see the pictures. Is the adductor and abductor machines, which basically they're the ones you don't maintain eye contact with people while using them. You do your best not to talk to people because it's awkward, and because we're all adults, even when we are adults, we do have immature minds, so just don't make eye contact while doing these machines. Good luck using them. They are fantastic for your adductors and abductors, which are a very important part of your leg. And that's it with the honorable mention. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.